Most know the name of Bigfoot, but in Florida, his lesser-known cousin, known infamously as the Skunk Ape, who has been showing up since the 1970s. The Skunk Ape earns its name by its unusual odor, which some have said smells like rotting garbage or skunks. All sightings have the reference to their distinct scent. The color of the fur that is usually spotted with the skunk ape ranges from red to brown. They are reported to be slightly shorter than a Sasquatch, standing around 7 feet tall. In the Florida Everglades, one man lived by himself. He was a bit of a hermit and built his house on his own. He had a small garden in the back of his property. There, he planted beets, tomatoes, and lima beans. He lived in a secluded area, but there were housing developments not far down the road. It was only a matter of time before he had neighbors. He had seen a couple of kids riding their bikes in front of his house and knew his privacy was almost up. One day, Pat was driving home. It was around 6 p.m. He was less than a quarter mile to his house when he spots something big crossing the road. There was some distance between Pat and the figure. He couldn't make out too much detail. All he could think was why this idiot was wearing a fur coat during the summer. The figure walks into the forest. As he drives by, he doesn't see it. He knew that even from the distance that it was a very tall person, and they had on a large fur coat that had a red color to it. There are no trails out here, and there's really nothing to see, so it was very strange to see someone walking out here. Later that night, he is in his house watching TV.
Get them stinking fish out of here. They're through with the fish.
He hears a thud in the back of his house, like a large rock hit it. He looks out the window and sees nothing. Thinking that it was one of those kids that he saw earlier riding their bike, he calmly goes outside. The backyard is silent. His garden has been broken into, and the lima bean plants have been ripped from the ground. He examines his garden and gets a little upset. As he's upset, he breathes through his nose heavily. He hears breathing similar to his own, matching the pitch and tempo. He looks up and adjusts his eyes, and notices the outline of a person standing behind a tree, still breathing, almost as if it was mocking him. As Pat is breathing through his nose, he catches a whiff of a foul odor that smells similar to a dead skunk. "I'm not going to listen to that," Pat tells the person, not knowing if it was a kid or the man he saw earlier crossing the road. A large rock is thrown in his garden, just inches away from him. He screams to give him his lima beans back. Screaming at the dark figure startles it, and it runs off to its left, hitting its right shoulder on the tree. Pat stands up, a little startled, but mostly alert, now knowing that this wasn't a kid. Just based on the sheer height of the figure, it must have been around 7 feet tall. He can hear it running, stomping on the ground. It was definitely a heavy person. It then made noises like it was a gorilla as it was running away. The foul skunk smell quickly lingered off as it ran away. He goes back inside his house and keeps an eye out the entire night. In the morning, he checks his backyard and discovers large footprints, and his garden more destroyed than he thought.